Welcome to the html5dev.com, and in this video, this is the commission calculator. We're going to be walking you through showing how to build using gravity forms. And this is in a basic WordPress page, which is running the 2021 theme. And I'm just going to go over the functionality quickly so that we understand it properly before we go into building it. Basically, in here there will be a input box where the user or the house owner put in the value of their home, and this is the default commission without discount. That means if they're trying to sell it without doing all this work, then this is the commission they're going to pay without any discount. But as soon as this discount come in, it's going to be reduced and they will see a saved money amount right here. For example, if it is, and you should notice that at this point everything is 0, and these two guys are saying just please select from the top choices, right? Nothing else. So let's start by putting a number here. Let's say $1,000. So right away we see $60, which is basically the 6% in the discount, the default one without commission. And watch what happens as soon as I click here. Boom, see, the calculation begins. Now you have to notice here those two text boxes just changed and numbers are showing up. And as soon as I keep clicking on commissions, like let's say if the user has a vacant house, if they get a inspection done already, appraisal done, survey done, and then sign some sort of an agreement, right? So all the way it goes down, and they actually save $8 per $1,000, right? And instead of paying $60 for commission, they pay $51.50. And also the good part about it is, as soon as this calculation happens, you can keep adding numbers to it and it will change these numbers as calculated values. And one very important thing to notice here is, like, it has no submit button, right? Or reset or anything. It's pretty simple. So only way to reset it is by hitting the refresh button and you get to start over. So that's pretty much it. Now let's go see how it was built. Okay, so before I get started, I just wanted to show what I have done here for you. Basically, I extracted the commission calculator JSON file and the added CSS, a very simple CSS, and I added them into my GitHub. And you can use this link, or I'm going to be making this available in my description for you. So all you have to do is just to go here and download the zip file, expand it, and you'll get a folder like that. Then you come back. As you can see here, I'm running the latest and the greatest with WordPress 6.0 here, and all you have to do, go to forms and then export, import, and choose your file, go there, choose this and open, and then hit import. And that way you should be able to see something like this in your gravity forms commission calculator, right? And this is where we get started. At this point, you can always go to the pages, and in my case I went to the home page and just clicked here, and if you just type in gravity, and you'll get this. So you can just drag and drop it here, and that will give you a drop down. From here you will see all your gravity forms, and you can just choose this and save, and that way you'll find this guy working like that, right? And when it comes to CSS, you can always come to appearance and go to customize. You still see this, right? But in here, additional CSS, this is where you paste the CSS that you get from here, comcal CSS, right? So that's the content. It's very simple. It's pretty much getting rid of that submit button that customer said they don't need it, and also some descriptions that I added here, as you'll see later, just to keep track of things. But in production, we don't need those descriptions, right? So I just remove them with CSS. That being said, now we are ready to go get started with our commission calculator. All right, so we are at the commission calculator edge screen in Gravity Forms. So this is where we begin. At the very top, we have a number field with a label, value of my home, right? And this is where everything begins. And this is what we're talking about, this screen right here. And there's not much to it. Only thing different here is I have set the number format to currency, so that as soon as a number is inserted and click somewhere else, a $sign shows up, just like these other input boxes also. All right, so now let's go back, and the very next one is a checkbox group called percentages, right here, percentages, right? Okay, and just to pay attention here to the labels, because the labels becomes very important at one point where we're going to be doing the calculations, right? So it's very important to remember which is which, and we also need to label them correctly so that we can recognize and differentiate later on, right? Okay, that being said, here we have to click on edit choices to see how we entered our choices. These are the labels, and in fact, just to show the values, I had to have this checkbox checked, and this is where the values are. Since we are representing 0.25%, 0.2%, etc. So in calculation, we have to have this kind of values like 0.0025, 0.0020, etc. If we multiply any number with this 0.0025 or 0.0020 kind of numbers, it actually gives us the 2.25% of that value. So that's why these values are like that, and you'll see how we use them later, right? And that's pretty much it for this block right here. All right, so now that we have seen how this block and this block is done, now let's focus on this block right here, these two items, inputs. And if you look closely, you'll see that one is nothing but a text which is telling the user to please select from the top choices, these guys. And the other one is a static number, which is 6. This doesn't change. It is the without discount commission percentage. That means without choosing any of these, if you proceed, the real estate company will take 6% of the commission, right? Which shows up right here as soon as we type in a number, give them the value of my house, and it shows how much money they're going to take as commission, right? But things change as soon as something is selected. Watch this. As soon as this is selected, this gets into action, and if we keep moving forward with our checkboxes, it subtracts those given percentages and reduces this number, giving the user the lower discounted percentage, right? And that being said, let's go see how we're tying it all together. All right, we're back at the editor, and we already know how these two functions. Now let's look at this block right here. And here's something to notice, that we have the items, or two rows here with exact same labels, right? And if you notice, so this one has the direction as a default value, and this one has a 6% static commission, right? And this is how it's happening. Let's go there, and if I go to advanced, and this is where it gives us this default value. So this is going to show up no matter what at the very beginning, and in here I am choosing it as a text field, right? This is not a number field because this is going to be shown only for the first time when, none of these boxes have been checked, right? So it doesn't matter it's text or number. Same way, this one also a text input and with a default value of 6. And that's where these guys are coming from once I refresh it. See, this is just giving us the direction and showing, and these are text boxes, so it doesn't matter, because they're not gonna do any calculations. But in here though, these two are the real ones. That's why they are numbers, right? And they have some sort of a calculation involved, right? Before I get to that, let's show you how I'm making them disappear, right? So if I choose this item here and go at the bottom, conditional logic, click here, and here you can see that I set it up so that only show this item when the percentage is empty. And this is your percentage block. So when nobody touches this, show this, right? And same with this guy also. Exact same, when the percentage is empty, showing that. And these blocks, on the other hand, if I go to conditional logic, I'm hiding them when they're empty. So that means as soon as they're chosen, these guys goes away, these guys come on, right? So that's the trick. Now you might have a question that, like, since this guy is the same everywhere, right? This is not being changed. This is the one being changed. Then why am I applying this conditional logic on both of them, right? Why not only one, only this? So this is what happens. Let me show you. Okay. So if I just focus on this block, but not that, right? What happens is, if this gets hidden, this block comes up here, takes its place. And this guy jumps up here, this guy comes here. I mean, basically creates a disaster, layout-wise. So just to avoid that, I double up, right? So pretty much the same thing I create twice. In the whole row, I add conditional logic so that when these numbers are not chosen, this row shows up, and when these are chosen, these guys show up. And that's how this is happening. Like, as soon as, let's say I put a number in and I put a checkbox, boom, as soon as you see it's changed, even though it looks the same, but these are actually new blocks with the calculations, right? And next, let's go see how these calculations are working. All right, now before I focus on the calculation, I just wanted to show you that just for my own benefit, so that, whenever I come back and I know which is, fake and which is real, I actually added these tiny descriptions underneath these, right? Right here, I go to the general, and this is the description, right? Both of them have descriptions, and this tells me these are the ones are not in action. These are, right? But the thing is, if I go into a preview, they're going to show up like that, right? And what's going to happen is, as soon as you click on it, it jumps, because this is where it's actually hiding these blocks and bringing these blocks in and causing a jump, right? But in production, I don't need that jump, and I don't need people knowing which is fake or not, right? And that's why this comes in. So I actually collect the classes necessary from here classes for these descriptions, and I use that class and do a display none on it. And this is also the place where I remove the submit button. See right here, I get the ID from the submit button from here by right clicking, inspect, and in here I collect the ID from, which is G from submit button 8, right? That's how I collect it. And then in here, I use that ID and display none, thus the submit button is removed. Okay, now let's go back to the editor and let's check out how these calculations are done. All right, so hopefully now these guys are clear, right? And we already know how we're switching these rows. And now we're ready for our calculations, right? So let's look at what's happening here. This is where the numbers are changing according to whatever is selected here. And this is and the values we collect from here are going to be used to get that percentages out, right? So let's go back and see what we are doing here. Basically, if it is a number field, it will already come with a checkbox here which is called enable calculation, right? So as soon as we check this box, this nice little box opens up, and this is where we can put in all our numbers. And how we get them, this is how. This is a huge drop down of all our marge tags. And marge tags basically means all these items right here, they have some sort of a value attached to them. In fact, they're all showing up, but they will come into action if you assign value to them. For example, these guys, we've already assigned values, right? So those values come to play. Now let's go back to the main screen. So let's say if I have a number here and I check, so immediately this starts showing data, right? So our target would be to get this number 6 and subtract these items as we progress, as we check more boxes, right? And all together it's gonna give us a final result of 4.95, which is the discounted percentage, right? Because the user will have been done all these, like having a vacant house, inspection done, appraisal done, etc., right? So based on that number should show up. So this is the calculation that's happening here. Since our base number is 6, I could have probably collected it from here, but I just used it manually. Feel free to use variables in case if you have this number changing, right? If it's a actual, in my case, it is a static, 6% is the maximum. So I can use it anywhere as a constant. But if you think this is going to be changing, then you can use this variable also. Like you can go up and then bring down this guy, like without discount, right? And this item would show up right there. And in here, I just use the static number 6, and I'm subtracting the total of all of the above, like these guys, right? So each time I just went in and selected this, and this, and created this one, combined all of them, subtracted from number 6, and in the end, multiplied by 100. Because as you know, in here everything had 0.00 attached to it, so that the percentage comes, and to get the actual percentage number I had to multiply it with 100. Thus I got this 4.95 number. All right, so now that we're clear on this one, let's see what's happening here, right? This other one, and this guy right here is also a number field, and in here we're actually not doing anything. We are, let's check the advanced, just using a default value because there is no calculation necessary, right? So just 6 will show up. It's pretty much the same thing, right? I just used a text in here and number in here. I could have used either one, so that's not a big deal. Now let's go and see what's happening here, the second line, and that would be the amounts. Just like the above ones, I have 2 fake ones right here, which is basically single text and single line text. This is a number because I'm using the same thing here, and this is a little bit of calculation involved here, as you will see. Just like the above, these 2 rows are also controlled by conditional logic. As you can see here, let's check this. This is also only show this when the percentage is empty, which is this guy's empty, nobody's choosing it. And if you look at here, you'll find the same thing. And these guys, the real number boxes with calculations, they, on the other hand, will be hidden when it is empty. So that means if it is not empty, they will show up and these guys will disappear. Just vice versa, right? the same logic set like the above. And that's why this is just using a default value here. If you go to advanced, sorry, right here, the default value, please select from the top choices, giving the user a direction. And this guy is the same thing, default value 6, but only difference in this case is that I am choosing currency instead of a number. Because in here I had to choose a number because it was just showing a percentage. It had to be a simple number, but this one converted that into a currency value, and that's why this has a little bit of a formula attached to it. I just enabled calculation, and in here I just collected value of my home, which is this guy right here. I took that number and just multiplied it by 0.06, which is the 6%. And that's how we are getting a calculated value. So let's say even if we refresh, everything remains the same, but as soon as I put in a number here, this changes. Everything else doesn't, because they depend on this guy right here, percentage. But this will be changing as soon as the numbers are inserted, right? And that's what this formula doing. All right, so now let's take a look at this guy right here, how this is being calculated. Pretty much in here, let's make it a little bit larger. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm initially taking the value of my home, which is this guy up top, taking the main value, and then I'm taking the base percentage, and this time I'm actually using it a percentage form, which is 0.06. And this time, instead of multiplying with 100, I'm just leaving all the values regular, like 0.0025, 0.0020, just like in here you saw, right? I'm just leaving them as is and subtracting them back to back from this main value, 0.06, which is the 6%. And with the result of this calculation, I'm just multiplying that with the main value, thus giving me a percentage, main percentage. For example, if it is $100, so at 6% rate, the commission amount without discount will be $6. But in here, as soon as we get the vacant house and add the 0.25, is going to be subtracted from this percentage and gives us this resulting value in amount, in dollars, right? And same with them, as soon as we adding all of them, and it ends up being total of 4.95. So just because this is 100, it's all looking great, but look what happens when the numbers get more and more complicated. So this is where all the the calculation looks really great, right? I mean, they become really helpful, and this is where this is happening. And that being said, now let's go focus on this portion right here, where we get to see the savings. All right, so at this point, we know if we change this number and we keep changing that, they will show us the percentages and give us the number, right? So last but not least, this is the box we're going to focus on this time. This will give us the savings amount, which is basically this guy minus this guy, right? Very simple. All right, so we'll be focusing on this block right here. And just like the above ones, this also have two sections here. The first one is just a text one, and with a default value of 0. And this is also, I mean, I'm intentionally use the $sign also because this is going to be showing a money amount. But what I did though, used a conditional logic, just like the above. If the percentage is empty, show this, but if not, disappear it, right? And the same way, this the bottom one, which is the number field, and that will have the calculations. I have this logic, hide it when the percentage is empty, but as soon as something is clicked there, show it, right? So with the same logic, and it has that same the simple calculation that we just talked about. Basically, we took amount without discount minus amount with discount. Now you may be thinking like, oh, okay, there are two of them, right? Two of each. And you would be right. There are two of them. So here you have to do a little bit of a trial and error. I mean, like, you have to check it. But the thing is, this actually shows you an ID there, right? Like without discount 7 and without discount 6. So let's say if I go here, this has the ID of 14, but this one has 7. This one has 6, and this one has 13, right? And this are the numbers will help you determine which ones are the right ones. 7 and 6. These two are the real number ones. I mean number fields that we can use. And these are two values we're going to use here. Take this one, since this is going to be a larger number, subtract this guy with a smaller number, and when we display it, we're going to format it with currency, just like that. So that way, when we come here, these results are shown immediately, right? No matter what number we change here, they will keep changing accordingly. And this concludes this video when we make a commission calculator using gravity forms. If you like this, please smash the like button, and please don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please smash the like button and the subscribe button. This will help me bring more free contents like this to you every week. Thanks again.